Hello, Sammy. Lachlan told me that you weren't going to go to your graduation since you've never set foot on the campus where you're graduating from. This kind of shocked me that this is even possible, but I didn't want you to miss out on hearing a commencement speech. So I wrote this for you and for Nate and Chloe when they graduate later in May and June. So here goes. Class of 2026. I want to begin by saying something you've heard 1,000 times that I'd like you to hear one more time, because this time I mean it differently. Congratulations. Not for the diploma. The diploma is just a piece of paper. Congratulations for the harder thing, for surviving an education in a world that was changing faster than the education could keep up with. You sat in classrooms designed for a 20th century reality and graduated into a 21st century reality. That gap is not your fault. It's also going to be your greatest gift because you're not as captured by the old operating system as the people who taught you. You're graduating into a moment unlike any other in human history. And I want to tell you gently, honestly, and with as much hope as I can muster what I think this moment actually is. You're going to hear over and over again that you're graduating into uncertainty, into chaos, into collapse, into a world breaking down in ways no previous generation has had to face. Some of that is true, and some of it is the standard fear based story every generation gets told, and you don't have to swallow all of it whole. What I want you to know is this: humanity has been at a moment like this before. Not exactly this, but structurally, yes. We've been here before, and we got through it, and we became something better on the other side. 400 years ago, in the early 1600s, the European world was coming apart. The church, which had been the central authority on what was true for over 1,000 years, had fractured into Catholics and Protestants who were burning each other's books and killing each other in wars that lasted decades. The cosmological picture of reality was collapsing. Copernicus and Galileo had shown that the Earth was not the center of the universe, that the sky was not what people thought it was. In 1633, Galileo was put on trial and forced to recant this truth under threat of torture. 30 years The 30 Years' War was killing roughly 8 million people across Europe. Plague was traveling with the armies. Famine followed. Whole towns and villages disappeared. And inside that chaos, a generation of young people was being told that everything they had been taught was wrong or partial or unreliable. The authorities couldn't be trusted. The map didn't match the territory. The institutions were collapsing. The future was a fog. Sound familiar? Their question was the same question you're asking yourselves right now, even if you haven't put it to words. What is real? What can I know? Who can I trust? In the middle of that collapse, there was a young French soldier named Rene Descartes. He was 22 years old, sickly, bookish, recently educated at one of the best schools in Europe, and convinced that almost everything he had been taught was wrong. On November 10th, 1690, stationed in southern Germany during the early phase of the 30 Years' War, Descartes took shelter on a freezing night in a small room heated by a wood stove. Alone, warm, surrounded by a continent on fire, he had 3 successive dreams that changed his life. He emerged from that room with one resolution: to rebuild human knowledge from the ground up, to find one thing that could not be doubted, one foundation that wouldn't collapse like every other foundation around him had collapsed. 18 years later, he published his answer in 3 Latin words: cogito, ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. If everything could be doubted, the church, the cosmos, the senses, the authorities, at least the doubting itself was happening. There was a thinker doing the doubting. I think, therefore I am. The thinking self was the one thing nothing could take away. It was a brilliant solution. It worked. It became the foundation of modern science, modern medicine, modern technology, the printing press scaled into the internet, antibiotics, the moon landing, every advance of the last 400 years. Cogito, ergo sum, got us here. But here's what I want you to understand, because this is the part that matters for you specifically. It was an emergency solution. Descartes was a man trying to find solid ground in a flood. He gave us 3 words because 3 words were all he could be sure of. He never meant for those 3 words to become the entire operating system of Western civilization for the next 4 centuries. But that's what we did. We took an emergency philosophy and ran it as our default operating system long after the emergency had passed. The 30 Years' War ended in 1648. Nobody told the software. We're still living inside an emergency answer to a crisis that resolved 378 years ago. While the benefits have been incalculable, the cost of that has also been enormous. Because cogito ergo sum is true, but it's not the whole truth about being human. It put the self in the head. It made the body a machine. It made the earth a resource. It made other beings objects. It made knowing a function of thinking alone. You are graduating into the consequences. Let me name them honestly, because I refuse to lie to you about this moment. You're graduating into a world where the institutions your parents trusted, government, media, universities, churches, the medical system, and maybe even your parents, have lost their consensus authority. Not because they all became evil, because the conditions that produce their authority no longer exist. You can no longer assume that what an institution tells you is what is real. You're graduating to a world of deep fakes, synthetic media, algorithmically curated personal truth bubbles, an empty public square where each person inhabits a slightly different version of reality. The question Montaigne asked 400 years ago, "Que sais-je?" What do I know? Is your question now, asked at a scale and speed no previous generation has had to navigate. You're graduating into global ecological systems under stress, into a climate destabilizing on a timeline shorter than your expected lifespan, into industrial food systems that may be quietly making your generation sicker than any generation before it, into a mental health crisis being treated mostly with pharmaceuticals while the conditions producing the crisis go untouched, into a smartphone-mediated childhood whose long-term effects we are only beginning to understand. You're graduating into a labor market where artificial intelligence is replacing the entry-level work that previous generations used as a ladder. You're being told there are no jobs. You're being told the machines will do what you trained for. You're being told to be afraid. I want to say something about that. The machines are very good at what Descartes called cogito. They're spectacular thinkers. They can write, code, analyze, summarize, calculate, and synthesize at speeds and scales no human can match. If your only value to the world was your capacity to think, you'd be in real trouble. But thinking is only one verb. There are at least three even more important verbs. The machines cannot sentio. They cannot feel. They have no body, no nervous system, no fascia, no heart that beats and senses before the brain knows what it is sensing. They have no chest that registers grief or joy as a somatic event. They have no skin that responds to human touch. They have no relationship to nature. The machines cannot redale. They cannot laugh, not really. They can produce text that resembles a joke, but they cannot drop their diaphragm in surprise and delight at the absurdity of being alive. They cannot share a laugh with another human being whose nervous system synchronizes with theirs in real time. Laughter is a body's involuntary report that something is true and unexpected just happened. The machines have no body to report. And the machines cannot amo. They cannot love. They cannot simulate the language of They can simulate the language of love. They can produce text that comforts you, but they have no field that extends beyond their hardware. No electromagnetic heart that entrains with another heart across a room. No biological capacity to co-regulate another nervous system through their presence. Love is what hearts do when they synchronize. The machines have no hearts to synchronize. You do. You have all four: cogito, sentio, rideo, amo. The machines are extensions of one of those verbs. You are the integration of all four. That is not a deficit. That is your unfair advantage in the world you are graduating into. The future does not belong to the people who can think the fastest or know the most. The machines will always think faster and know more. The future belongs to the people who can integrate, who can think clearly, feel deeply, laugh freely, and love bravely. All in the same body, all at the same time. That integration is not a software upgrade. That's a biological capacity you were born with, and that your education has definitely undertrained you in. Your generation's work is to recover what your education left out. I want to honor something about you that I don't think anyone has said clearly enough. You are wired differently than any generation in human history, not metaphorically, neurologically. Your nervous system was shaped from the beginning by conditions no previous generation experienced. You do not remember a time before the internet. You have only read about it in history books, the way I read about the world before electricity and flushing toilets. Global connection is not a technology you adapted to. It's the medium you grew up inside of. You have friends across continents whose lives you follow as closely as your neighbors. You have felt the deaths of strangers in countries you've never visited. You've seen the Amazon burn from your bedroom in real time. When something happens anywhere in the world, your nervous system receives it the way previous generations' nervous system received only what happened in their village or town. Every generation before you was raised inside a local consciousness and had to expand outward into a global one, usually with effort, usually incompletely, usually too late. You started planetary. You had no local only consciousness to upgrade. Your default operating system is the whole Earth. This has been treated mostly as a problem. The adults around you have warned you about screen time, about being digital natives, comparing your attention spans to a goldfish, about social anxiety, about the cost of growing up online. Some of those warnings are valid. The smartphone has done real damage to your generation, and that's a genuine wound that needs honest reckoning. But underneath the wound is an adaptation no one is naming clearly enough. You have been unwittingly and knowingly prepared for exactly the moment humanity is in now. Our species is being asked by the climate, by the technology, by the interconnectedness an interconnection of every system on the planet to transcend the small tribal we that humanity has lived inside of for 200,000 years, and to become a planetary we, to live as one species sharing one biosphere and one Earth. Every previous generation was built for a smaller scale: family, tribe, village, nation. The leap to planetary species has been beyond what their and our nervous systems were prepared to hold. Your nervous system was built on it, to hold it. You feel for the kids in Gaza and Ukraine and Sudan with the same somatic immediacy your grandparents felt for the kid down the street. You did not learn this, you were grown this way. The same level, the same global connectivity that has caused you anxiety and overwhelm has also wired you at the same level of nervous system, at the level of fascia, at the level of heart, to be the first generation biologically capable of inhabiting a planetary identity. This is your gift. This is what humanity is crying out for. This is what this moment requires. You're not just graduating into the we. You are the we that our species has been trying to become. You are the we that we have been hoping and waiting for. There's something Descartes did in his collapse of authority moment that I want you to do in yours. He did not pick a side. He could have. He could have become a Catholic warrior or a Protestant polemicist. He could have joined the religious wars on one team or another and spent his life arguing his side was right. The pressure to do so was enormous. Everyone around him was doing it. People were dying for choosing wrong or right. He did something else. He stepped sideways, outside the false dichotomies of his day. He asked a deeper question than the question everyone else was fighting over. He asked, what can be known when no authority can be trusted? And from that deeper question, he built an answer that shaped the next 400 years. I implore you to do the same. The current moment is going to demand with enormous social pressure that you pick a side, especially if you haven't already: left or right, progressive or conservative, climate alarmist or climate denier. For many of you, mom's house or dad's house, pro-AI or anti-AI, pro this or anti-that. Every algorithm you encounter will try to sort you into a tribe. Every media outlet will try to recruit you into a faction. Every conversation will try to test which team you're on. I'm asking you, with as much love as I can put into a sentence, to refuse. Not because both sides are equally right or equally wrong, not because the issues don't matter. They matter desperately, but because picking a side and fighting is a shallow response to this moment. The deep response is to step sideways, outside the false alternatives being given, and ask the question your generation is uniquely positioned to ask. What can I know when no institution can be trusted? Where does true knowing actually come from? What foundation is available to a human being that doesn't depend on any authority outside the body I already live in? This is the cogito of your generation. This is your version of the question Descartes asked alone in a heated room 400 years ago. And the answer your generation is going to discover. The answer some of you have already begun to suspect is that the foundation is inside you, not in your head alone, in your body, in your heart, in your gut, in your nervous system, in your soul. You've been educated as if you had only one kind of intelligence, what I call MI, mind intelligence, the thinking, analyzing, reasoning, calculating capacity. Your schools measured it. Your tests graded and rewarded it. Your scholarships and resumes showcase it. AI, artificial intelligence, is an extension of MI, a very powerful silicon based extension, powerful enough to outcompete you on MI alone. If you walk into the future believing MI is your only asset, you will lose to a machine. That's not a threat. That's a fact. But MI is only one of at least four intelligences you were born with. There is HI, heart intelligence, the capacity of the four-chambered heart to sense, to integrate, to anticipate, to feel, to love. The heart has roughly 40,000 sensory neurons. It generates the body's largest electromagnetic field. It senses significant events a full second before the brain registers them. Your heart is an organ of intelligence in its own right. And almost no part, zero, of your formal education trained you to listen to it. Then there is SI, somatic intelligence, the intelligence of your spine, your gut, your nervous system, your fascia, your soul, as it lives in your body. Your gut has its own nervous system, the enteric nervous system, with more neurons than your spinal cord. Your fascia is a body-wide bioelectric communication network. Your nervous system can read another person's safety or threat in milliseconds. Before any conscious thought, your body is a vast intelligence system, and most of you have been trained to override it rather than to listen to it. And then there's DI, divine intelligence. Whatever name you give it, God, the field, the universal coherence, Brahman, the Tao, Logos, the beloved, the one, the source, the intelligence that is greater than you and includes you, the intelligence that runs the rhythm of the universe and through which you are connected to everything that is. Every wisdom tradition on earth has named it. Modern physics is closing in on something that looks suspiciously like it. You have access to it, not through belief, but through practice, through stillness, through dreams, through prayer, through awe, through gratitude, and deep listening that lets the larger intelligence speak through you. MI thinks, HI senses, SI knows, DI guides. You have all four. You were born with all four. Your work, your real work, the work no machine can do for you, is to unforget, anamnesis, or remember all four and integrate them into a single human being capable of inhabiting this moment. Here's how you do it. Here comes the advice part of the talk. Trust your dreams. Have them. Descartes had 3 successive dreams in that heated room on the night of November 10th to the morning of the 11th in 1619. Yes, that was 1111 for those of you who noticed. And they redirected his entire life. Your dreams are not random noise. They are the divine intelligence speaking to you in the only language your conscious mind cannot interrupt. Remember your dreams. Write them down. Take them seriously. Some of the most important guidance you'll ever receive will come at 3 in the morning in the form of an image you don't yet understand. And Descartes is not alone. The history of human creativity is the history of dreams taken seriously. Friedrich Kekulé, the German chemist, was struggling for years to understand the structure of the benzene molecule. One night in 1865, he dozed off by his fireplace and dreamed of a snake biting its own tail. He woke up and realized the benzene was a ring. That dream gave us modern organic chemistry, which gave us modern medicine. Dmitri Mendeleev had been trying for years to organize the chemical elements into a coherent system. In 1869, the periodic table came to him in a dream, fully formed. He woke up, wrote it down, and barely had to change a single placement. Every chemistry classroom on Earth has that dream on the wall. Elias Howe invented the sewing machine after dreaming he was being chased by warriors carrying spears with holes near their tip. He woke up realizing the needle's hole had to be at the point, not the back of the needle. That dream changed the global garment industry and put clothing on billions of bodies. Niels Bohr, the Danish physicist, dreamed of electrons orbiting an atomic nucleus the way planets orbit the sun. That dream became the model of the atom. And that model led to quantum mechanics, semiconductors, and the device in your pocket. Albert Einstein said his theory of special relativity began with a daydream of riding alongside a beam of light. The most rigorous physics of the 20th century began as a vision in a young patent clerk's imagination. Mary Shelley dreamed Frankenstein during a stormy June in 1816 at age 18. That dream gave the world the modern science fiction novel and a 200-year conversation about what it means to create life. Paul McCartney woke up one morning in 1965 with the entire melody of Yesterday playing in his head. He spent weeks asking other musicians whether he had unconsciously stolen it from somewhere. He hadn't. It came from a dream. It is now one of the most covered songs in human history. Larry Page dreamed in 1996 at age 23 of being able to download the entire web onto his computer and analyze the links. He woke up and started writing the math. That dream is now called Google. Jack Nicklaus got out of a slump by dreaming a new way to grip his golf club. He won 6 tournaments that year. Harriet Tubman had visions and dreams she trusted as direct guidance from God. She used them to lead enslaved people to freedom on the Underground Railroad without losing a single one. Her dreams saved hundreds of human lives. Otto Loewi, an Austrian pharmacologist, dreamed the experiment that would prove neurons communicate chemically rather than only electrically. He scribbled the design in the middle of the night, ran the experiment the next day, and won the 1936 Nobel Prize in Medicine for it. I could keep going. The list is long. Srinivasa Ramanujan said his mathematical formulas came to him in dreams from a Hindu goddess. Robert Louis Stevenson dreamed Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in a single night. Stephanie Meyer dreamed Twilight. James Cameron dreamed The Terminator. Christopher Nolan dreamed the structure of Inception, which is itself a movie about dreams. These are not exceptions. They are the rule. The history of human creation is a history of human beings who paid attention to what arrived while they were sleeping. What if some of the most important breakthroughs of the 21st century, the ones humanity is desperately waiting for, are still sitting inside in the unrecorded dreams of you, this graduating class? What if the cure for the disease that will otherwise kill someone you love is a dream away from one of you? If you would write it down, pay attention, keep a notebook by your bed, honor what arrives in the dark of night. The dream force is real. It has been the engine of human progress for as long as we have been human. And it does not care about your GPA. It only cares whether you are listening. Second, listen to your body. Your gut is more accurate than your news feed. When something feels wrong, it usually is. When something feels true, it usually is. When you walk into a room and your chest tightens, your nervous system is reporting on something your mind hasn't named yet. Stop overriding it. Start treating it as life-saving data. Third, practice presence. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. This is why we call it the present. Open the present. Presence is the state in which all four intelligences are online at the same time. It is the integration point. It is where the heart, the body, the mind, the spirit synchronize. There's no app for it. There's no shortcut. There's only practice, breath, stillness, attention, the daily discipline of returning to your own chest and noticing what is here. Fourth, find your ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese word that means roughly your soul's purpose for being. The intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what someone will or might pay you for. You have one. Every human being has one. Most people die without ever finding it because nobody told them to look. I'm telling you now, embrace it when it finds you. The world is not waiting for you to fit into the existing structure. The world is waiting for you to bring forward the thing only you can bring forward. You. The fifth, surrender to something larger than yourself, not in defeat, in trust. Trust the universe. The universe has a heart, and that heart is connected to and includes yours. And you are here for a reason that is larger than your diploma or the resume you submit. Get quiet enough to hear what you are here for. Then have the courage, the heart rage to take action and do it. Class of 2026, there's never been a better time to be graduating. I know that sounds insane. I know every adult around you is telling you or trying to hide it from you that it's the worst time. I know the headlines are catastrophic, the labor market is uncertain, and the planet is in crisis, and the institutions are crumbling. All of that is true. And I'm telling you the truth at a different level. There has never been a better time to be a young human being entering the world. You're graduating in a moment that needs exactly who you are and what you have. The machines will handle the cogito. They will not handle the sentio, the rideo, the amo. They will not metabolize the grief of this moment. They will not heal the loneliness epidemic. They will not restore the relationship between human beings and the planet we all live on. They will not parent the children. They will not love the dying. They will not laugh in the back of a car at 2 a.m. with their best friends about something nobody else would find funny, and hopefully your parents will never find out about either. That work is yours, and it's the most important work there is. You're not graduating into the workforce. You're graduating into the life force, the soul force, the dream force. That the vast and ancient intelligent stream of human becoming that has been flowing since the first cave and will keep flowing long after the current institutions are forgotten. The dream force does not care about your job title. It cares about whether you are awake, whether you are integrated, whether you are present, whether you are bringing your full fourfold intelligence to a world that desperately needs it. Descartes was alone in a heated room when his dream changed the course of history. You are not alone. There are millions of you all over the planet walking out of graduation ceremonies right now with a quiet sense that the world you were trained for is not the world you're walking into. Trust that sense. It is your heart sensing what the head has not yet named. You do not need to overthrow the 400-year-old operating system. You need to complete it. Descartes gave us 3 words: Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Your generation gets to upgrade the rest. And then your generation gets to do one thing more. Descartes wrote his sentence in the singular. I think, therefore I am. He was alone in a heated room. The I was all he had. You are not alone. You've never been alone. You were born into the we that our species has been trying to become. And the sentence that belongs to you is not Descartes' singular I. It is the plural your nervous system already knows. Cogitamus, sentimus, ridemus, amamus, ergo sumus. We think, we feel, we laugh, we love. Therefore, we are. 4 verbs, 4 intelligences, 4 chambers in one human heart, 1 species, 1 earth, 1 coherence. The whole human being and the whole human family finally allowed back into the sentence. She was always inside. This is the upgrade. This is the cosmology your moment is asking for. And you, class of 2026, are the generation old enough to know the old operating system is failing, and young enough and wired enough to install the new one before failure becomes terminal. A few of you are graduating summa cum laude with the highest honors. All of you are graduating summa cum spe humanitatis with the highest hopes for humanity. The world is not waiting for you to accept it as it is. The world is waiting for you to transform it into what it has been waiting to become. Live as we, as a planetary species on the whole earth, with everyone, in harmony with the world's ecology. This is what you've been prepared for. This is what you are for. Go. Do that. We're cheering for you. From every chest in this room, every heart still beating, every person who came before you and is praying you do better than we have done. We are with you. Cogitamus, sentimus, ridemus, amamus, ergo sumus. Welcome to the Dream Force.